Please settle on in, have some fun, enjoy yourself, and the curtains will be opening in a little bit.
Like I said,
thank you.
Former First Lady of the United States, Mrs. Michelle Obama.
It's life, you know. One of the questions that people ask me is, how'd you know how to be First Lady? And I find that an interesting question because it's almost like people forgot that I was anybody before I was First Lady. They forgot I went to Princeton and got a law degree, that I was a corporate lawyer. That I have worked in almost every sector. I was in my 40s when I became First Lady. That's probably young for some, but for many of y'all, it's kind of old. So I have lived life, and life teaches you grace. You know, it gives you the ability when you encounter obstacles. You know, that's why I always tell young people, you know, don't be afraid of failure. Don't be afraid of those obstacles. Those are the things that make you stronger. They make you better. And what we encountered in the White House wasn't the first time Barack or I had encountered doubters or haters or hard work or challenges, you know, to build the careers and the lives that we had even before we entered the White House. We had to go through some stuff. And each challenge, each failure, each crushing blow, each negative comment just made me stronger. So I was ready for the challenge of being First Lady, for all the highs and the lows. So life teaches you grace. That's why I don't want people to get, especially when you're young, in your 20s and your 30s, and you think you're hitting a low. You know, life is so long, and what you think is a dark time, you know, when you look back on it, you realize that that's probably the most important period of growth that you'll ever have. So embrace it. Don't run from it.
That was Monday. Imagine what Wednesday looks like. She is a perennial badass. Please give it up for Bozoma St. John.
My name is Bozoma St. John, and as introduced, I'm the Chief Brand Officer at Uber. The joys we've celebrated, they all add up to the person that we are. I believe brands are people. You know, they have personalities, they have perspective, they have dreams, failures, regrets, hopes for a bright future. I even believe Uber has a bright future. I do. And it's my job to tell it. So, I'm going to tell that story in a number of ways. Through the traditional means of brand marketing.
Oh yeah, there we go. That's the stuff. We're sleeping on beanbags. Pretty comfy.
World of tech and innovation, Sheena Tabakawala is with us. And you probably know this, but part of Billie Jean's story is now part of a major Hollywood movie starring Steve Carell and Emma Stone. Let's take a look.
Would anyone else like to share? How about you in the back with the glasses, sir?
My name's Bobby and I am an addict.
Hey, Bobby. Hey, Bobby.
You know, you folks aren't here because you're gamblers. You are here.
the secret to getting to the very top, being the best in a male-dominated field?
Oh no, you're younger. You get to start. Also, I think I'm really interested in tech. So I think a lot of you are.
Well, you know, there's a lot of things in terms of trying to get more women into computer science and into tech. You know, there's really, I see it as a two-step problem. The first, and we were talking about it, is how do you get women excited about STEM at young, early ages? There's a ton of research that shows if you can get a girl interested in math by 10, that has a huge impact on their willingness to go into STEM fields. And when you think about even the first computer science course, you end up where a lot of women drop out after the first course because they feel that they are not as good as the boys because the boys have had a lot more exposure to that point. So that's the first thing, which is how, you know, how do we make that change? And there's a few universities like Harvey Mudd that have said we're going to do 50-50, and like they are hoping to make that change. The second factor is women aren't getting past the middle management layer. And so, you know, I see both of you as inspirations, as people in your fields who broke through that glass ceiling. And we still have a lot of it in tech and in industry, in business industry. And one of the things is that when you, again, look at the research, it shows that women are not seen as technical. And so they aren't getting beyond. And part of what, to me, that is how do we change it so there's more women doing tech talks, there's more women on stages. When you look at a place like a Python conference or a React conference, it's not nearly 50-50 in terms of the speakers. And so I think that it's how do you get more women to be out there and having the conversation and putting ourselves out there. And I think that that's really, really important to help start breaking through some of those barriers.
Well, it's interesting you talk about by the 10 years old. We know through the Women's Sports Foundation research that if a girl doesn't exercise, usually by the time she's around 10, there's only a 10% chance she'll ever exercise the rest of her life. Wow. And now that we know more about our health than we used to, you can see how vital this is. It's the same thing. You know, if they're at 10 and they haven't done exercise or sports, and the boys have been, looking at why do I want to do this as well. And also, if girls in sports do really well in the STEM area, so. I'm asking as if I'm a younger girl, I'm a younger woman.
Yeah, it's because if
or a guy.
If from a manager's perspective, you know, it's not necessarily the manager who can say, okay, here's exactly what you need to do. Like, because part of it is you saying, this is where I want to get to. This is what I see is in that role. This is what I think I need to do. What am I missing? And like, the more you're taking control over that discussion yourself as the employee, the more likely that that initiative drives change.
I need a plan. Yeah. So if you fail to plan, you fail. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. One thing you learn in sports, if I hit a ball and it's out 6 inches, say, okay? So I take in that information, I'm getting feedback, right? The ball told me everything. Okay, I go, okay. I correct it in my mind's eye, so next time I get the similar shot, because you never get the same shot twice in a lifetime, which is fascinating, I love it. Okay, so, okay, the ball's coming through. I'm gonna make that correction. But what I do is I tell the kids when I'm coaching, I say, correct it in your mind's eye, but I want you to delete the fact you missed it. Just delete it. It's like in your computer, like your brain's your computer, delete it. But then what I've done, when I think about how I'm going to do it, and correct it, then I say enter it. Put it in that brain. Always think how you're going to do it right. You know, you identify what your mistake was or your getting feedback. I think feedback is a much more positive way to think about it. Because to me, we keep learning with every experience, like Michelle said, or the First Lady, former First Lady. I had the privilege of going to the White House and knowing the Obamas a little bit then. I was on her physical presidential medal. Yeah, the Presidential Medal of Freedom I got from President Obama his first year.
Don't make a face.
I deserved it. No, I'm kidding. My nephew was there, so the two of us, on behalf of the LGBTQ community, also won. He brings it up. But most people think of me as being the first woman athlete to win it. But I'm really happy about both. But I'm unhappy that I'm the first woman, because it's good news, bad news. There's so many women. Althea Gibson's a perfect example. That I think she deserves it. In fact, I don't think she gets enough at the U.S. Open, and I think she deserves a lot more attention given to her. The way Jackie Robinson, Jesse Owens, those guys. I think because as a woman, we don't get as much, and it gets me a little crazy. I think I don't like it. And, getting back to jobs, because I know you guys are all thinking about jobs. You know the Wall Street Journal, you work for them, right? Yeah. Did you see that survey on big boards back in the old days? But my understanding is that there's a lot of rookie men on boards. Here's the question they always ask at boards, at board meetings, if they want to try to get a woman on a board. They go, well, what has she done so far? Has she been on another board? Has she had experience?
Yeah.
When at least 75% of the new men on board are total rookies, never been on a board, no one even asks. It's going back to performance and potential again. You get rid of it. Figure out how, if someone's talking to you and it's all about your performance, then you might want to think, but my potential. And you might be able to turn it around and whoever you're talking with. I don't know. But that's trying to solve the problem.
Because they've done a bunch of stereotypes on. Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. I was saying that's breaking the kinds of stereotypes that you were talking about that make you see potential.
Come on.
And it's the same when raising funding. So there's been a lot of studies that show that when women are raising funding, they're more likely to get asked questions about what are the business risks, and men will get more asked about what's the business potential. And so as an entrepreneur, when you are presenting your story, it's really important that you focus on the potential, you focus on the market size, the market opportunity, and try to turn that conversation around. And so those are things like tactically, it's like the asking and advocating for yourself, going in and doing your pitch in a way where you know you're gonna get asked your risk. And it's like, yeah, there's risk, but actually look at the potential, look at the opportunity, and try to turn that conversation around. Personally, for me, it's been a huge benefit. I have a husband, I have 2 young children, 5 and 7, and I have a husband who truly does 50-50. He's a far better cook than I am, like a lot of things that my daughter was joking because she said, what's your favorite food? And I said, well, mom's shrimp curry. I said, most people's favorite food is something from what their mom's home cooking. And she said, for me, it'll be daddy's home cooking, right? I said, yes. So I think that, finding a person who's gonna be able to help you be 50-50 is vital for success. There's no question if you want to have kids, if you want to have a family, which I think is well worth it.
Doesn't matter if you're gay, doesn't matter if you're straight, doesn't matter if you're bi, doesn't matter who you are, transgender, it doesn't matter. What matters is having the right partner. If you know you don't, then you need to change. And that's what can be highly difficult. But Ilana has been unbelievable. She and I, we support each other. We don't cook at all. We don't have children. We have godchildren. We have a few godchildren. In fact, they were with us the last week or 2. They were so much fun. 2 are in Australia, 1's in England, 1's in Prague. We have them all over. And my former husband's children were godchildren too. It'll say that at the end of the movie, actually. So we have a great life. We've been in business together too. We love it. She ran World Team Tennis, which is, if you see a World Team Tennis match, you see my philosophy on life. It's men and women equally on a team, contributing equally on a level playing field. And that's why we started it, my former husband and I back in the old days. He's such a feminist, my former husband. He actually made me a feminist. It's his fault.
Lunchtime. What do we got?
We have some sort of Korean chicken tacos.
And then, by the way, this is Ashley.
Hello. And here we have a veggie flatbread pizza.
Yeah. We also have one more thing coming soon, right?
Salad, because we're...
Are we? Kind of.
And then there was a moment when I created my 3rd web series, which was The Misadventures of the Awkward Black Girl, where producer friends was saying, look, and we're only about in our 3rd or 4th episode, but the response was great. And my producer friend was like, look, we should take it to this particular network and just try to pitch it to television. And I had maintained that I wanted to keep this show online just because the past 2 web series I've done, I tried to pitch to television, and they, again, this doesn't have an audience, or this doesn't fit a specific genre or a specific lane. And so I was like, when I made Awkward Black Girl, this is specifically for the web, it's for me and my friends, and it's just to be able to say that I created something that I wanted to see, and so that I could continue to talk shit about the fact that I'm not seeing, you know, these representations on TV. I did my part. And so when we went to this network meeting, the guy was just like, just didn't get the show at all. He was like, oh, I saw your little web show, and you know, it's a show about this black woman and her black woman problems, funny stuff. That's not what it's about, okay. And then he proceeded to tell me like why the show wouldn't work. He was like, you know, black people, and he's not black. He was like, black people like to see celebrities, like we cast, and he started naming, you know, prominent actresses that weren't awkward black girl types, and secondly, he was just saying, you know, that he would replace specific, you know, actors, and it just became very clear to me in that meeting that this network executive had no idea what he was talking about, and that I should keep my work online. I was like, I would rather do the show as I've been doing with people I've been doing it with than sell it to an idiot who ended up being fired, you know.
I was gonna say, y'all gonna get
Hey Mario. Whee! Mario and I just did tequila shots.
It is after 3.
Exactly. You know, when I have to do an interview, I do a tequila shot.
Really?
No. But I do drink on my show. What is your favorite non-Batali restaurant?
In New York City?
Sure.
Top 3 would be Pearl Oyster Bar.
Yep.
Katz's Deli.
Yes.
And a place called Charlie Bird.
Yeah, Charlie Bird's great.
And Via Carota.
Yeah, oh, I love it.
And Bouvet. I mean, we live in the same neighborhood, so we go to the same restaurant. I'm really good at it, which is why, like, the Food Network is really popular, or say the Golf Channel is really popular, because when you watch someone that really knows how to do it really well, maybe you watch it more than a couple times a week, like, say, the Pornhub, or whatever that is. Like, watching someone that really knows what they're doing, do it with vigor, it's exciting.
Do you think people watch porn to get better at sex?
I think they're just watching because they love watching someone who's really confident doing what they do best. But maybe you'll pick up a trick, like, you know, Bobby Flay's tortilla soup and...
Right. Bobby Flay has made some great porn, I have to say. I like early Bobby Flay.
The early stuff was
early Bobby Flay.
It's great.
Same with Rocco Despirito.
Right, exactly.
Early Rocco porn. So am I to assume that you started at Stuff Your Face and you fell in love with it and one thing led to another? Is that what?
When I graduated college with my immensely successful sounding Spanish theater of the Golden degree, I went to the Cordon Bleu in London and I started a cooking school program that I eventually quit. My lesson, don't quit, kids. Finish what you start, always. So I bailed out of that, but I worked for this guy named Marco Pierre White, who was this legendary temper tantrum. He basically is the guy that taught Gordon Ramsay how to be a dickhead.
The guy who taught Gordon Ramsay how to be a dickhead.
Right.
That's great.
I mean, it's because they're so passionate about what they do, and it drives them crazy that there is a minute variation in something that you want them to get. And basically, the reason chefs yell at other cooks is because the chef in their heart knows they fucked up, and they didn't properly train the team to do it in a different way with an acceptable window of variation between, say, 7:30 and 9:30, as opposed to like 5:30 and 6:30. Like, you should be able to codify how brown it can be before you have to say that's burnt, or how not brown it can be before you have to say that's raw.
What is your take on Gordon Ramsay's oeuvre of television?
I don't really like the sadistic reality TV programming. I just don't think that it promotes what I hope to promote in the world of the kitchen space, which is we are about nurturing, we are about mentorship, we are about sharing our information. And yes, there are tough days, but yelling at somebody is not necessarily the best way to get them to modify their behavior. In fact, I've learned that if I yell at someone, within 5 minutes, I have to go over really and apologize because I feel like a dick. But if I really want them to change their behavior, I do a sotto voce lecture within earshot of their peers, and we resolve it together while everyone else is kind of hoping I don't come to that next. Wow.
What you do mirror what you dreamed of as a child? It completely does. It's almost kind of, it's amazing how it all worked out, I have to say. I mean, I loved soap operas growing up, and the fact that I'm now one of the producers of the greatest reality soap opera going is incredible to me, and that I was always a shit stirrer growing up, and the fact that I'm now I'm a very high-paid shit stirrer is incredible. And, I wanted to be in front of the camera when I was growing up. I studied broadcast journalism here at Boston University, and my plan was to move from small market to small market and be a local TV news guy. But my last internship of many internships was at CBS News in New York, and I spent a little time there, and I was like, oh man, I'm not gonna do the thing of going to all these towns. I'm just gonna move to New York and work behind the scenes. So the idea that all these years later, I got to be in front of the camera is really as much of a surprise to me as it is any of my kind of former colleagues from years ago.
I might. If I need
especially when I'm single, is to go out with no money and see how drunk I can get that night. Any other ladies like to do this? And I love to do, like, I'll go to the bar, right, and then I'll get me a water with a lemon in it and a long straw, and I start fishing, looking for the man that looked the loneliest in the crowd. Look at him over there, looking like he work on the computer all day. Walk out that club like that was a good ass party. What that man's name was? He sure gave me a good drink. I hope he didn't Bill Cosby it, because I gotta drive. Did I go too far? I have nothing to do with that shit. That's on you and your life. This is just an idea that I had. I'm not saying to go out and do it, but this was the idea I had. I was like, yeah, girl. Yeah, I'm talking Timberland boots, hot grits, all of that. And then we gonna give him some Ambien, and we gonna put him to sleep. Then, while he sleep, we gonna burn your name in his den. And we gonna put salt and mud in it so we kilo it over when it heals. Then it be ribbed for your pleasure. And then when he wake up, we gonna look him dead in the eye. And we gonna say, keep your name out these bitches' mouths. And Jada Pinkett goes, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? I said, I think about revenge. And then Regina looks at me with no smile on her face, straight as just the very most serious face, and she goes, what if my name is too big for his penis? And I was like, we'll get some typewriter keys. I curse every single human being in this room with a heart beating in their chest. I curse all of y'all with happiness. I hope that every single one of you motherfuckers becomes so happy that it becomes contagious. And you spread that happiness like Usher spread herpes. You spread it like the flu. I hope that you shit joy and you sneeze success. I curse you with that. I curse you with all the joy and happiness you can handle. And I know right now there's somebody in here like, oh no, I don't want that curse. I don't want to be happy. Well, I curse you with the most motherfucking happiness, bitch. Because you got a lot of evil and hate in your heart. Don't nobody like your ass because you're so motherfucking evil. You need to have some joy in your life. Be joyful, goddammit. You woke up today. A lot of people didn't get to wake up. So be happy. And remember, you deserve to be happy. You beat out 1 billion sperm. You made it to the head. You survived that treacherous pussy for 5 to 9 months, depending on who your mama was. You survived your whole childhood, and you made it to this night. So guess what? You deserve to be fucking happy. So be happy. You have the choice to do so. My name is Tiffany Haddish. Thank you. Now, I'd like to bring to the stage this very funny man that I started back in 1985. He used to sneak into comedy clubs in New York and watch great comedians like Billy Crystal, Richard Pryor, Charles Fleischer, and then he started making movies, and he's doing stand-up comedy. He's done movies like Trainwreck, 40-Year-Old Virgin. He took me to dinner and gave me some sushi, and the bitch got gas, but we're not worried about that. He's my good friend. Please make a whole lot of noise for the one and only John Appleton!
Okay, here's what happened. I went to the doctor for my checkup. And when it was over, he says, hey, I got Viagra samples. You want Viagra? And I was kind of insulted. So I thought, why does he think I need it? And then I realized that he is the only person other than my wife who has held my penis and balls. And I thought, did I not understand that test from before? Was I supposed to be hard during that test? Because all day long I was like, remember, don't get hard, don't get hard. The next year, I'm coming in hard. So then here's what happens. I'm going to explain how Viagra works because none of you know what it is. So when you take Viagra, the thing no one tells you is that you don't tell your wife you're taking it. It's a secret because you want her to believe in magic. So you don't tell her, but what happens? Sometimes you ask for sex, and what does the woman say? No. That's what happened to me. And that's not a warning on the side of the box or in the commercial. No one ever says like, well, you might take this product and have an erection for 6 hours that no one wants to deal with. And images of the guy helping his kid with his homework, petting the dog. So my wife says, no, I don't want to have sex. And now I'm sitting there in bed with my wife with this massive erection that she knows nothing about. And I'm just like sweating, my heart is pounding. If you don't get laid, you're just having a panic attack, is basically what's happening. And then my wife's like, let's watch Marley and Me with the kids. And now the kids run in the room. We're all in bed together, the 5 of us. And my erection is so hard, it's literally like you could see its heartbeat through the blanket. It's so hard, it feels like there's a young penis trying to rip through an old penis. It's like a scene from Alien. Have I opened up too much? I feel like, am I dirtier than Tiffany? You thought she would be the dirty one. And then the Jew came out and everything changed. It was not what you expected. I didn't say this is exciting. Tiffany, this is...
I hope you guys enjoyed seeing little snippets of the entire day. My one day at Hubspot Inbound. Let me know in the comments below, like, from the bits that you guys saw, who you liked. Did they inspire you anyway? I know they're really short snippets, but I don't know. I hoped that something grabbed your attention. And don't forget to check out the blog post related to Hubspot Inbound at my blog. And I will leave that link down below in the description box. I write a little bit more about my feelings on all the speakers that I got to saw. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna go to bed now.